So what this book provides is this kind of, it's a framework, it's a system, and I'm all about systems. Why is it important to have this kind of system for really big life decisions and all the other kind of smaller and medium ones as well, I suppose? Because when you think about it, I mean, your career path and your choice of life partner, those are just about as big as they get in terms of life decisions. Why is it important to have a system that is not like the one that Hollywood movies tell us about, where you just find the one and you just know? And it seems silly for me to say that out loud, but that is literally what I had been brainwashed to think for the majority of my life.
You are not alone. It's true. We do not have good models. We have models for what the quest looks like, but not models for what it actually looks like to have a life with someone. So a framework is important because when we are in making high stakes decisions, we are in a mode of high emotion. We are often under stress. And Nobel Prize winning economist Daniel Kahneman talks about two systems of thinking. The first system he calls System 1. And these are systems that evolved over the years of human evolution. That system is quicker to access. It's impulsive, it's intuitive. It's when you are being chased by a mastodon and you need to get away, what gets activated. And that is often the system that we are in when we are in heightened emotional states. There's a second system called System 2, which is more rational, more analytical, more deliberate, and it is harder to access. And yet that is the system that helps us bring a lot of the strategic, intentional thought to these decisions. And so having a framework is useful in order to slow down your decision making, to turn over the rocks that help you be intentional about the decision, to help you access System 2. Because as humans, we have a bias towards not being uncomfortable, right? Nobody likes to be in uncertainty. Nobody likes discomfort. And so often when you're faced with a big decision, the instinct is to just get to the other side of it. It almost doesn't even matter what the decision is. We just don't want to be in that point of indecision. And so that is when you are making a decision just to be out of it, and you might regret what you end up deciding in the end. So the framework is really to help people slow down, be intentional, get out of the heightened emotions that we are so often facing when we're in the throes of these decisions.
Now, you talk about that first state. I'm going to go back in time, and I remember, when my relationship with my husband was brand new, I was in what would probably be described as the honeymoon phase, which is maybe not the ideal place to be making decisions from. But very pragmatically, what types of questions should we be asking a prospective partner or someone we want to move in with? What are the things to consider that maybe you won't find in a women's magazine or a Hollywood rom-com?
Well, people, first of all, I think you're right. We don't have models in rom-coms for the types of questions you should be asking, right? It's rare that we are watching a movie where we see people sitting down with each other and discussing educational debt.
Or what are your plans for retirement?
Right, exactly. I mean, it's just, it doesn't happen. It's not sexy. It's not fun. But the truth is that a marriage is a partnership. And a lot of the types of questions that you should be asking are ones about vetting the partner. And so talking about, and we have recommendations in our book for questions you should be asking, but questions about, what are your career aspirations? Where do you want to live? And how might we decide where to move? Obviously, kids, finances, roles of spirituality, role of your family. So all sorts of questions, and the types of questions that can be very uncomfortable to ask someone, because I think on some level, when we like someone, we're almost afraid to discover something that might make us incompatible with that person. But the truth is that, isn't it better to get that out at the onset of a relationship as opposed to when you're walking down the aisle, or as opposed to after you get married and there are kids and suddenly you realize there's some giant way that you're incompatible. And so a lot of the beauty of when I took this course was about being able to have those difficult, uncomfortable conversations before we felt ready. And my co-author has this expression of, it feels like you're standing at the edge of a very tall diving board. When you have these conversations, it's very vulnerable, but the diving board isn't getting any lower. And so it actually is about just taking that plunge, and actually being vulnerable with someone breeds intimacy. And that is something that can be really lovely, actually, about having these uncomfortable conversations, because it does make you closer.